myself to intervene and ask questions to keep the program moving along, I will do that, but I have 30-something questions prepared, and so I doubt we're going to be able to get to them all. And also to expedite and to get to as many questions as possible, I'm going to ask the candidates to keep their responses to 2 minutes, except for the first question. But just a little bit of housekeeping. I want to review with you why and how we're here, and the answer can be found in the Sarasota City Charter. And the city requires that all the commissioners serve 4-year terms. There's 2 at-large city commissioners that are elected in the general election every 4th year beginning 2022. So, of course, that's 2 years from now. And then there's 3 district city commissioners, and they're elected from single-member districts, also at the general election. And they're elected every 4 years beginning in 2020. So here we are in 2024, 4 years from that date. And there's also a requirement in the charter that these district commissioners live within the district that they're being elected in. All nominations and elections for the office of city commission shall be a nonpartisan basis without regards for designation of political party affiliation. We do our best there. And then, when only 2 persons qualify as candidates for one of the 3 district seats, the qualifiers shall have their names placed on the ballot for the city election to be held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. And that is, of course, what we mean when we reference the general election. So at our July the 25th Tiger Bay meeting, Kevin Cooper covered the District 1 City Commission races, and today we're going to cover Districts 2 and 3. So let me introduce the 4 candidates. First, from District 2, Liz Albert, and Liz is being challenged by Ron Cashton. Welcome to you both. And then from District 3, incumbent Eric Arroyo, and he is being challenged by Kathy Kelly Ulrich. So welcome to the 2 of you. So from now on, if you don't mind, and I'm going to do it anyways if you do mind, I'm going to refer to you on a first name basis. That way we avoid any bias or any prejudice with titles or anything like that. So let's get started. As with any race, including those with incumbents, as we have here today, the core question is, has the incumbent done well enough to keep the job, or is it time to install a new official to replace them? Eric and Liz, what would you highlight as 1 or 2 principal reasons for, from your first term, for Sarasotans to re-elect you? And what would be your top 1 or 2 priorities for another term? And conversely, Kathy and Ron, why is it time to replace the incumbent, and what would your top 1 or 2 priorities be? So we're going to go down the line, and I'm going to change who we start with each time. So Liz, we'll start with you. And by the way, for this question, we'll give you 3 minutes because it is a little bit lengthier.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, best place to retire, best place to live, best quality of life. Those are just a few of the top 10 lists that Sarasota has ranked in the past few years. And it's not just because we have beautiful beaches and palm trees, which we do. It's because of the extraordinary quality of life that we enjoy, and part of that quality of life is because of the policies and initiatives of your city commission. Things like we listened to our residents and we approved the renovation of Selby Gardens. We approved the renovation of our Bobby Jones golf course and took 45 holes and reduced it to 27, made a nature park, a major watershed, and covered it all with a conservation easement to protect it. We approved the plans for the bay, and we added a playground and splash pad in Bayfront Park, and we've improved our transportation options with things like the trolleys, the e-bikes, the e-scooters, and bike trails. So there are so many more, but those are just a few. And the reason I want to be reelected is I want to make sure that we get a new performing arts center, which will add to our economic impact and keep the city of Sarasota, the arts and cultural hub of our area. I want to make sure that we get a new downtown master plan so that we can manage our growth. The master plan that we have now was to revitalize the downtown. It's done that, so let's now manage the growth. I want to provide even more transportation options and so much more. So if you love Sarasota the way I do, let's write this next chapter for Sarasota together and keep our extraordinary quality of life and enhance the vibrancy for the next generation and keep those well-deserved accolades coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. Ron?
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Great. No?
Speak up.
Okay. Thanks.
Bite the mics.
Bite the mics. All right. Sarasota is indeed a unique city. I mean, if you combine the wealth of the performing arts and the cultural organizations that we have with our historically important architecture, and you couple that with all of our beaches, it really sets us apart. You know, we're a city that actually has a brand. It's an internationally renowned brand, which is incredible. I mean, you think about it, that we can differentiate ourselves from other seaside Florida cities. But the problem that you'll see with every brand is it can't withstand mismanagement. And I think our commission has been very transactional. They've been very, very short-term in their focus, and they haven't been looking at the long-term picture. You know, I agree with Liz, referring to a person, that we need a downtown master plan. We do have long-term planning, but the commission needs to abide by those long-term plans. And just recently, in their votes, they ignored the green space policies of our long-term downtown master plan. So if you have long-term planning, you really should follow it. Now, even though I'm critical of the commission, I'm also optimistic about the city, and I'm optimistic about our future, because I believe we can have affordable housing that's actually targeted to our workforce without choking our roads with traffic. And I believe that we can support things like law and order. And I don't mean just our police. Of course, for the chief, we have to support our police, but go beyond that. Support our code enforcement, our code compliance, and livability. Livability has been ignored for the residents. You know, the basic stuff of, is it safe to cross the street? Anyone that's tried to walk across Mound, walk across Fruitville, knows what the problem is. But most importantly is turn down the volume. And I don't just mean a noise ordinance. If you've noticed, we have an us versus them mentality, and that just shouldn't be. For us, we need to come together as a city and work as one.
Thanks, Ron. Eric, you're next.
Thank you. You know, this commission has made it a priority to protect Sarasota's future. We've done more than any other commission in history. We conserved more green space than any other commission, 262 acres at Bobby Jones. We have record lows in most crime statistics just across the board. We have record investment in affordable housing. Imagine you're driving and you fall asleep at the wheel. That's what we've been doing prior to this commission for 30 years. We're trying to play catch-up now. That's why we are updating a downtown master plan that we're still operating. It was passed in the early 2000s. It's the 2020 master plan. We're still using the 2020 master plan. We never updated it, but thanks to our mayor and the commission, we are moving forward with this. We are, in 2015, you had 1,200 homeless individuals in our just within a mile of our downtown core. Right now, the latest point-in-time survey has that less than 100. Walk downtown and tell me, there's never been a better time to live in the city of Sarasota. This commission passed monumental projects that were being held up by opposition, some who are running for office, trying to run for office now. We passed a record number of projects were completed. We have Bobby Jones was completed. We have the Bay Park award-winning. We had Selby Gardens, Time Magazine, one of the 100 best sites in the world or America. I think it's the world. It's the world. And we have just, given the police officers the raises and the staff that they need. We are on the right track. There's never been more opportunity in Sarasota. I'm excited for the future because the reality is, and everybody, let's forget about the negativity for a second. You live in the best city, in the best state, in the greatest country in the world.
Thank you. Kathy, talk to us why you're the best person for the job and your priorities if elected.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Good. Oh boy, I really want to respond to that, but I'll say I'm running for city commission because we deserve a commissioner who cares about us, who listens to us, who puts our priorities first. People talk about what they've done, but we have to look at their voting record, not at what they say. Sure, this commission deserves credit for conserving Bobby Jones. I get credit for that too, and actually won an award from the Conservation Foundation for the work of Conserve Bobby Jones Now. Conservation is the end of the good news for Eric and parks. That's it. In April of 21, he voted against having a park in the Rosemary District. In April of 22, he voted to sell Paul Thorpe Park in the middle of our downtown. I think most of us remember the recent issue with
Are we going to
Ken
fact
Thompson
check,
Park.
by the way?
No.
We're not fact checking.
No, we're not.
And very recently, had it not required a supermajority, Payne Park would have been eaten away. My priorities when I'm elected are those that the people in District 3 are talking to me about. And after Debbie, they want to know why it flooded now. One lady I talked to yesterday said, I've lived here 40 years. I never had this kind of flooding. So we have to do a deep dive into why now and what can we do to keep it from happening again. I'll protect parks, that's an issue. Affordable housing for everybody. The young, skilled workers we need, as well as those on limited and low income. And indeed, we need a new master plan. All master plans say we can't accomplish all this today, but we can do it in the long run, and this plan is the foundation for the next plan. Those are my priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just say to the candidates, the rest of the questions are 2 minutes, and pretty much all of you did 2 minutes and 30 seconds there. But if you would like to go back and readdress a question previously, you can do so, but it's going to be within that 2-minute time frame. And if I see that you're not answering the question at hand, I'll call you out on it and ask you to please address the question that was asked. So the next question, Ron, we're going to start with you this time. As a part of its annual Florida Municipal Achievement Award, the Florida League of Cities presented its Local Action Award to the City of Sarasota for its Attainable Housing Density Program. Question, what is your opinion of the city's Attainable Housing Density Bonus Program, and more broadly, the entirety of its efforts focused on affordable housing, and how would you personally address it? Ron, we start with you.
All right, thank you. I actually had a handout as you go out by the door about this topic. There are two major problems with the recent ordinances that were passed for attainable housing. The first part is the income target levels. Because what we're trying to do is give housing for the essential workforce of Sarasota. So retail salespeople, priced out. Restaurant workers, priced out. Landscapers, priced out. Doormen, priced out. Firefighters, priced out. Starting salary for a police officer, priced out. So why did we pass what we did? Because we've also, in addition to missing the mark for the target audience, we're also giving a give back. We're giving away density at a higher level than any other ordinance in Florida. We're giving away more density than even Live Local. And when you think about it, this gets back to the long-term planning. When you increase density by 4 times, which is what we did for downtown, that's 4 times more traffic, that's 4 times more water use, more sewage. Our long-term plans don't take into account that all of a sudden we're going to quadruple the density. And that's the problem with the short-term planning. And that can be fixed. We can lower our target levels. We can get more reasonable bonuses. And we can focus on the programs that really work.
Thank you, Ron. Just got in under the wire. Eric, you're next. Affordable housing.
Thank you. We're winning awards for passing these initiatives for a reason, because experts throughout the state have analyzed it and seen that we are the model. What we have proposed is the model. It does not intrude into the neighborhoods. It's actually being preferred to Live Local. Live Local, which was passed at the state level, allows higher density. It allows you to go to the highest intensity that can be achieved by any unit within a mile from where you are. So there's a lot of misinformation, and I wish there were fact checkers here. The reality is, workforce housing is an issue. And every year, the federal government comes out with metrics, with what the area median income is, and they say that you have to use that in determining what affordable housing is. And we have to give between 60 and 120% of what the area median income is. And that's what we've done. And that plan allows you to have, 2 teachers working, get those affordable units. A police officer, starting salary, yes, they are right at the median income here in Sarasota. The reality is, affordable housing has been a priority. It will continue to be a priority. And by the way, they talk about development urban sprawl is bad, and I'm against urban sprawl. But the city of Sarasota, you can't go out east in the city of Sarasota because we're confined. And 91% of all the properties are already developed by single-family homes in the city of Sarasota. So we're not talking about massive growth or overdevelopment. We're talking about redevelopment of existing structures. We're talking about people buying a commercial property. And guess what you can do on that commercial property? You can tear it down and build another commercial property. Our choices are never truly to say yes or no. Our choices are to tweak plans and make it something that works for the community, because it's never yes or no. It's either we get this project or we get this project, and we have to get the better one. People have rights. Thank you.
Kathy?
Thank you. So the corridor zoning text amendment was passed not too long ago. It was billed as an affordable housing initiative. I've said all along, I'm pretty sure it will be a corridor revitalization initiative, but it is highly unlikely it will solve our affordable housing crisis. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but I can figure if you triple or quadruple the density and require 10% affordable housing, you're tripling or quadrupling the impact on our infrastructure and services required, and you're not getting enough affordable housing for it. We had local experts advise us to increase the required percentage, including our esteemed moderator today. And actually, Eric had an op-ed in the Sarasota Herald Tribune in June of '22, where he said we should require 25% affordable housing and include inclusionary zoning whenever possible. So again, what people say and how they vote matters.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mind you, I wrote that article and that's not what it said.
Liz,
I have it in my purse. All right.
affordable housing.
Yes, I'm very happy with the affordable housing initiative that we just passed in the city. And I'll tell you why. We're talking about, as Eric said, in the downtown, we're increasing the density where the buildings are. So instead of somebody building a 4,000 square foot unit, which is what they'd have to do now under the current zoning, they can build 4 1,000 square feet units. So you can get some affordable housing, which meets the area median income, but a 1,000 square foot unit is going to be a lot less expensive in our downtown than a 4,000 square foot unit. So, we're adding to the affordability because we're increasing the supply. It's supply and demand. And the corridor zoning, I'm really excited about because not only will it increase our affordable housing, it allows commercial properties to have residential rather than just commercial. This is like along, our busy streets. That's where you should have a combination, mixed use, residential, commercial. That's where the bus lines are. That's where the additional transportation is. And we've made it so that the parking lots, as these properties get redeveloped, the parking lots will be in the back. So over the long term, the next 20, 30 years, we'll be remaking those corridors. There'll be a right-of-way, an 8-foot sidewalk, and a 6-foot planting area. Imagine the difference that's going to make in that corridor as we see that come to fruition. So it's working, and I'm very proud of what we've done.
Thank you. Eric, the next question, we're going to start with you, and I'll give my first notice to Tiger Bay members that if you, after the fourth candidate responds to this question, I'll look to the Tiger Bay members to ask the panelists questions. And remember, like Jeopardy, it must be in the form of a question. This is not the place for diatribes or other forms of expression. If you want to do that, run for office. And you can sit up here and you can do that. Okay, Eric. Hardly a week goes by without some mention, somewhere in the local media, of the pending decisions on Van Wezel and the construction and funding of a new Sarasota Performing Arts venue. Candidates, what is your perspective on the proposed Sarasota Performing Arts Center, including funding options, and what do you believe is the future for the Van Wezel Performing Arts Hall? Eric, you're up.
So we have a purple ribbon committee of experts, some of them are actually here, a number of them, that's going to give us an analysis of what we should do with that structure and whether we preserve it, whether we have it as a shell. But, and it's something that we all need to decide as a community, whether we want to be known for arts and culture. And how much do we treasure that? Do we like the fact that we can go see Book of Mormon, Lion King, all these great musicals, plays? I saw Dave Chappelle here at the Van Wezel, and that is amazing because he's my favorite comedian. And so I am very, very proud of our arts and culture. I think we should incentivize it. I think we should continue to foster great relationships with all these national shows. Mary Van Wezel over there, I love you. Thank you for everything you do. And, you know, nobody knows what the future holds, but we're getting ready for it. We approved $300 million in infrastructure improvements. We're at $97 million in improvements. Everybody keeps talking about Debbie. Did you notice that the downtown didn't flood? Did you notice that St. Armand's didn't flood? We just installed artificial intelligent street, the lights, the traffic lights. It's helping traffic. We're improving traffic. We're improving the infrastructure. That's what a Class A community does, and that's why we continue to win awards, and that's why people continue to move down here, because we are an attractive community. So the affordable housing, all that is just because we are such a desired community, and I think our arts and culture is at the center of that, and we should cultivate it, and I think we should, it's gonna be a very important decision that's not gonna cost the taxpayers anything, because it's already we have a tax increment financing district that's gonna be funding it. It's not like anybody's taxes are going up for whatever projects are happening on the bay. So that is gonna be very important, and everybody should be very, should be attuned to what's happening.
Thank you, Eric. Kathy, let's talk about the Sarasota Performing Arts Center as proposed and Van Wezel as yet to be decided.
Yep, thank you. So I love the arts. I see a lot of people I run into when I'm at Florida Studio, Urbanite, Guitar Sarasota, all over town. I usually wait to form an opinion on matters until I have facts to base my opinion on. The Purple Ribbon Committee has not issued their report yet. We just hired an architect to give us a footprint and a design for a SPAC. So I'm waiting to make an opinion until I can read both of those reports. Personally, I want the best performing arts we can have in this city. Since I'll be responsible for the greater good of this community, I won't spend a nickel that we can't afford. Thank you.
Liz?
Well, I'm unabashedly for a new performing arts center, which my opponent opposes. We do have the Purple Ribbon Committee that's looking at how we can repurpose the Van Wezel, but the people who work at the Van Wezel will tell you that it is not adequate for modern productions and can't handle what needs to be done to upgrade, to get modern productions. It's not large enough. You can't make the footprint any larger. So I foresee it probably being used as some sort of venue for maybe some smaller theater companies. But if we're going to be the first-class arts and cultural hub into the future, we need to make this investment, just like the people who made the investment in the Van Wezel more than 50 years ago. We need to think about the next generation and not just about the people now. So the architects are coming up with a plan for a design, which will give us a better idea of the cost. But there's already been an economic impact study done, which will show a $150 million economic impact to our area per year, 30% more than the Van Wezel enjoys now. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that we have to do and move forward on so that we can, again, make this city the place we want for the next generation. of Sarasotans to enjoy and want to be here and keep our economy going.
Thank you, Liz. Ron, you can ask her on this one.
All right, thank you. 2 quick fact checks here. One, prior with Eric, he had mentioned that the attainable housing was a model that came from the chief lobbyist for the Live Local Act. It was Cody Glazer, who said that he doesn't care about zoning, so as long as there's a single housing, an additional housing that is built. Regarding second fact check, Liz says that I'm against the SPAC, which I can tell you I am not. What I am for is, and I'm going to put on my accounting hat, I believe when we spend taxpayers' money, and we're talking about $500 million, this is going to be the largest investment we have. Out there, if someone asked you, you're about to spend $500 million, would you first ask, do you have a business plan? Have you done any financial projections about this? The city has not. What the city did, instead of focusing on a business plan and trying to figure out the minor things of where's the parking going to be, what is the programming going to be? Back to John's question, what are we going to do with our most valuable building we currently have, which is the Van Wezel? We need to solve those problems, answer those questions before we commit to a contract that is a termination value of $3 million. So if we decide for some reason we want to do the building elsewhere, or we don't want to use Renzo, we've just spent $3 million. So I think this is one case where you do need someone with financial experience that will sit there and do the due diligence for the taxpayer so that we don't waste taxpayer funds.
Thank you very much. Thank you, candidates, for staying on time. It's makes my job a lot easier. So we'll turn now to Tiger Bay members, and please, before you ask your question, say your name and confirm that you are a Tiger Bay member.
Thank you. I'm Dennis Reese, and I am a Tiger Bay member. CityPAC recently revealed the percentage of your campaign contributions that came from individuals or entities with matters before the commission. Can you tell us what that percentage is for your campaign? What are you expected to do for those contributions?
Thank you, sir. Kathy, you're the first one that's up to respond to this one.
0. I expect to represent the people who make donations to my campaign and work for the greater good of our city. I take no corporate donations.
Liz?
Yes, I have no idea what the percentage is because I don't look at that. I look at, and it doesn't, anybody who gives to a campaign is a special interest. And the people donating to my campaign are mostly business owners in our community. 10% of our workforce is in the building industry. So people who, are we saying that residents in our city are only retirees? So if you have a business and you have an interest in the city, that means you're not entitled to a voice at City Hall? And if we're going to talk about special interests, let's talk about the special interest of CityPAC. There's one donor who donated $115,000 to CityPAC who's supporting my opponent. Don't you think that somebody donating $115,000 may have an agenda? I don't have anybody giving me $115,000. In addition, my opponent's wife writes the newsletter for CityPAC. That is not a nonpartisan, it's a biased organization that has an agenda. I represent all of the people in Sarasota. I have always done that, and my opponent knows it. In addition, his wife knows it. I have an email from Kelly Franklin, who wrote to my campaign treasurer 1 month ago, 2 weeks after CityPAC first published this, we took all these campaign contributions. And it says, despite our many differences and different styles, I've always respected your ethics and your basic kindness.
Thank you, Liz.
She knows I'm ethical, and so does he.
Thank you for your response.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing that you get deflections and you get attacks. I firmly believe there is a difference between residents that come before the city commission and business owners with a profit motive, and that the commissioners do not know the difference between someone that's just trying to help their community, help the people around them, try and get a better home, than someone with a project trying to get additional profit. Goes to the basic question. I do not know why Liz continues to attack my spouse. That is a question you can ask her. But CityPAC is a watchdog that does publish information about all the candidates and about all their contributions, but all they do is compile. So you can go to the clerk's office and you can go to the website and you can download the information and take a look, because I am proud that for my campaign, I've received 0 contributions by businesses before this commission. I am fully funded by residents that live here, existing property owners. You know, we talk about, businesses versus residential. At the end of the day, don't you care about the people that are here, the property owners, the existing?
Go ahead. I just moved my.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry. There is a difference in the perspective and the expectation that you get when businesses contribute as opposed to residents.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna move to the next.
Businesses are residents.
Sorry, my bad,
I know,
Eric.
I'm just,
I do that every time. Let's hope this is the last time this session, my apologies.
So,
Eric?
just wanted to correct, my opponent, her last report just came out Friday. It's mostly corporate donations. I don't know what we're talking about here. And every single person in this room has a special interest in the city, whether it's walkability, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's represent something for young people, jobs, whatever it is. Everyone has a special interest. That's why they contribute. They support candidates. But you know what? Having a special interest does not mean ever that you get special treatment, ever. Now, I've not seen a single candidate at the city, county, state level. There is none of that. They support candidates that are going to further policies that they like. And I went to high school here. I met my wife in high school. We have 2 beautiful kids that are turning my house into a jungle gym. And the people that are donating to me are realtors. People I went to high school with. They're roofers. They're doctors. It's like 30% healthcare. Sure, there are people in construction because it's one of the largest industries in the area. We have 9,000 realtors in between Sarasota and Manatee. Of course, there's going to be some realtors. A special interest is someone taking an interest in furthering their community. A special interest does not mean you all have a special interest in whatever you want. But the biggest special interest around here has been this not so super PAC called CityPAC. And they're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from we don't know. And they are supporting opponents, and they are also publishing these things that are actually, unchecked. Nobody knows how they came up with these numbers. They're just like 30% this, 40% this. It's all false. And let's pretend for a second that the people that are suing Commissioner Battie, the people that are going up against Mayor Alper, and the people that are publishing all these things and attacking the commission are not the same group, because they absolutely are. So let's just have a real conversation here.
Thank you. Okay. Now, we will move to our next Tiger Bay member. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Ashley Jimenez, and I'm a Tiger Bay member. My question is specifically for Mrs. Ulrich. When you served on the city's planning board, you voted against Selby Gardens master plan both times it was presented to you. And after listening to numerous hours of testimony during each public hearing, you took out a piece of paper with a pre-prepared speech to deliver your no votes. So this really demonstrates that you did not factor in all of the public input that was given to you during the hearing when you were making these decisions. So if you were elected to City Commission, would you plan to continue delivering pre-made decisions before listening to all of the public input that's been given?
Thank you for that question. It helps someone to stay focused when they have notes in front of them. Regarding Selby Gardens, if you were at the planning board meetings, you heard me say at every meeting, I love Selby Gardens. When my husband was very ill, Selby Gardens was one of the places where we found a peaceful respite. When you're casting votes and making decisions for the greater good of a community, you have to put your personal feelings about something aside. At the planning board, the Selby, both times, came to us and there were questions, and we were told the questions were answered in the master plan. When we asked to see the master plan, we were told it was a proprietary document that we were not allowed to see. Because of that, I was not able to answer the questions I had to answer to make sure the project was for the greater good.
I wish we would have had a fact check here as well.
Thank you, Ashley, for your question. Do any of the commissioners want to give a 30-second response to that, especially Eric Hughes?
Just,
okay.
they have a suggestion box? I think we need fact checkers.
We have 300 fact checkers in the room. These people do their homework. All right, let's move on to the next Tiger Bay member.
Hi, Caitlin Whitaker, Tiger Bay member, and my question is for Ron Cashton. Your wife, Kelly Franklin, is an outspoken community advocate who, among other topics, continually attacks Selby Gardens master plan all over social media. And do you agree with her position regarding Selby Gardens?
No. Kelly and I, like any good relationship, have differing point of views. I do believe that the current version of Selby, the Phase 1, is a better version than what was first proposed. And it's winning awards, and I think it's great. I haven't seen the details on Phase 2 and 3. I mean, I've seen it when we were working on Phase 1. But it probably won't, I think everyone here, we love Selby Gardens. You're not going to kick the Easter Bunny. It's a beautiful place to be. So in Phase 2 and Phase 3, I didn't see any of the development that would come before the commission. So with that, I don't think it's ever going to come up as a question, but maybe it will. I am missing some additional variances or something that would be asked from the commission. But I think everything, Phase 2, Phase 3, revitalizing the greenhouses, all that will be fabulous.
Thank you.
Does that?
Thank you, Ron. Liz, I'll give you an opportunity also to respond.
Well, she said it, basically.
Okay, good.
What's been going on, so I don't know how, when, if my opponent were to be elected, how people would understand his position being any different.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. An opinion column that ran earlier this year in the Sarasota Herald Tribune claimed that the city had neglected and marginalized the Newtown community and has failed to level the economic playing field for the citizens and has ignored the numerous code violations. The question is, and Liz, if my notes are correct, we start with you this time. What is your perspective on the claim, and what, if any, should the city be doing differently regarding its relationship with and the approach to the Newtown community?
Wow. I've been on the commission for 9 years, and for 9 years, revitalizing Newtown has been a top topic. We have talked about it many times. We have done different things in Newtown, and I think we are making progress. The CRA that gives some money to help redevelop things. We've gotten a bank to open up there. It took a long time to convince a bank to open a branch on that corridor. We've gotten a health clinic to open there. Again, it took a while to convince somebody they could open a bank on the corridor. We have supported the initiative to document all of the historic structures in the Newtown area so that we can make it a locally designated historic district, which always helps to bring up property values and economic development to an area. We supported having the Leonard Reed House moved to make a community center. There's going to be, as Mr. Thaxton involved in, a veterans housing project there for low-income veterans. So we are doing everything that we can to make sure that that area of town has not been ignored. We have an economic development manager now who is devoted to working on getting the Newtown area revitalized. So I think that I disagree with that column that we have ignored it. We're doing what we can, and I think we're starting to make progress.
Thank you, Liz. John?
Yeah.
Your question.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that Liz just said. Newtown's average income is $13,000. And, it's one of those that, of course, they're struggling at that income level. And the only other thing that I think, the city has been working on this and has been trying to push several initiatives. I think the one thing that they could possibly do is education. My concern is that the Newtown community doesn't know that if someone offers them a offer for their house, that if they accept that offer, they might not find housing elsewhere in Florida. And I'm a little concerned about that, but.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Eric?
Yeah, I disagree with the column. I agree with everything Mayor Alpert said. And, we entered into an agreement, a leasing agreement for a property in Newtown with what's called Bay First Bank. It was called First Home Bank before. And what can we do? I think it's a path to home ownership. That's it. And so they promised us, and they have this program that they've rolled out that allows you to roll in your security deposit, your deposit into on purchasing a home and closing costs, everything into the loan. So your first payment after entering into a contract to purchase a home, the first time you pay anything will be your mortgage, which oftentimes is less than what you would pay in rent anyway. Yeah, so we have a historic district out there. We're doing everything we can. We have a CRA, a community redevelopment agency, and it's a special district, and the tax dollars collected in Newtown stay in Newtown. And we have some great success stories with our centers over there where we go there and we see that children are playing and they're being educated, they're getting mentors, and we have so many nonprofits in this area that are helping as well. I mean, I've been involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters for going on 17 years now, and I've had a number of little brothers throughout the years, and Newtown is a very special place, and we're providing the opportunities out there. But I think the solution is a path to home ownership.
Thank you, Eric. Kathy?
Thank you. Well, they've covered a lot of it. I'd like to add, though, there's a fine line between revitalizing and gentrifying. And we travel that line very carefully. So I agree that home ownership is a big deal that we should work on. I agree that the revitalization along MLK took a long time, but it's really good. And I wonder if there's anything we can do to rewrite the CRA, because the tax increases we're getting don't seem to be enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. We will now, let's see, Liz, you started, so we went through the four of you. Okay, great. We'll now go back to the Tiger Bay members. Mr. Bailey, you're up, sir.
I'm Dan Bailey, I'm a Tiger Bay member. I perceive that Marlon Brown is a very effective city manager. Do you agree?
I think we start with Ron, correct?
Well, could be, sure.
I think so.
I think right now there is a problem in the direction in City Hall. And I put that at the leaders, the people responsible for giving direction. And that's the commission. I think the commission is supposed to they're supposed to represent the people of Sarasota and create policy and create direction for Mr. Brown, for his staff, and I don't think they're doing that. And I think Mr. Brown is in almost an untenable position because he has to continue pushing the city forward without good long-term direction. You know, we can talk time and time again about very short-term decision-making that this commission is making. And, you know, they will deal with whatever agenda item is before them. But you know that they're not sticking to the long-term plans. They're not giving the guidance that City Hall should be.
Thank you. Eric, let's see if we can put our times down, since it was such a direct question, to 1 minute.
Yeah.
Ron was under that, just under it.
I think Marlon Brown was doing an amazing job. It was this commission that had a change in leadership and appointed him city manager. I think he is a fiscal hawk. We lowered taxes, 2 years back to back. We have not raised property taxes in the last 4 years. Mind you, we had never lowered taxes in the prior 40 years. So the fact that we lowered them back to back and we haven't raised them at all is truly a testament to Marlon Brown being a fiscal hawk. That's one of my favorite qualities about him. And I think you're a great representative. You're not a pushover, and you're out there in the community. So I am very happy with the job that he has been doing, the way he communicates, and I'll continue to support him.
Kathy, your thoughts on City Manager Marlon Brown?
Thank you. Hey, Marlon. When I was chair of CCNA for 2 years, Marlon and I had coffee almost every month. He was the deputy, and I was trying to get CCNA going in the right direction, or the direction I thought was the right direction. So I've worked well with him for many years. I run into him as we're hiking on the weekends. We have great conversations. But what you don't know until you're at the commission table is the dog wagging the tail, or is the tail wagging the dog? And I don't know. That remains to be seen. I think I know the answer, but it remains to be seen.
Thank you, Kathy. Liz, your comments on Mr. Brown?
I've worked with Mr. Brown for 9 years as a commissioner, and I can tell you unequivocally, he is a great city manager, and I hear that from people around the community. that he is one of the best city managers that they have ever worked with. He's great with the employees, and he does follow the direction of the commission. We're not transactional and short-term planning. We have long-term plans for everything, for infrastructure, for affordable housing, for transportation. Everything we do fits in with our goals and our long-term plans, and I couldn't be prouder of the work he does and how he keeps the city running. Thank you.
Heather?
Good afternoon, Heather Caston. I am a Tiger Bay member. And, it's just disheartening for me to hear the separation between residents and businesses as if they're opposing forces. The chamber, we represent over 1,400 member companies. 90% of those are small businesses. These people they are living in our community. They are our residents. They are providing jobs that power our economy. And how this parlays into my question is around affordable housing, the recent zoning tax amendment changes that have just occurred. It's my understanding that we now have, since the time that those text amendments were passed, we have over 700 affordable units in the pipeline, which I think is amazing, and there was 0 prior to that. Could the candidates just address the affordable housing, and since the change in the zoning text amendments, the increase that we are seeing for the first time in affordable units?
Okay, so we're back on affordable housing, and I believe, Eric, you're the man up.
It's not all one thing. It's sort of a spectrum, and affordable housing is at the root of it. Because if you address affordable housing, you also, before you get to address affordable housing, you have to address the lack of market rate housing, which affects our rent. People are waiting on their homes to be built, so they're renting from someone that would otherwise afford to rent here and live and work here. And so these individuals are having to drive from out of town. And before market rate housing and affordable housing gets addressed, we're not even going to get to the permanent sustainable housing for our homeless individuals. So by addressing this, I think we solve a few issues. One, traffic, because less people are having to drive into town to work. If you work here and play here and live here, you're a happier person, less traffic. We reduce our homelessness even further than we have. And we also make sure that employers can find skilled labor. So many people, I walk around downtown and I talk to the servers, and everyone in the service industry, for the most part, does not live here. You're telling me that you're paying someone, $5 an hour. I think servers are below minimum wage, and they have to drive from like Bradenton, Tampa to come here. How much are they spending in gas just to make up that delta, just to start work, right? They have to work an hour just to make up the amount of money that they spent to get to work. And we just need to do better. I think we're on the right track. I'm proud of everything we've done. I think it's historic. And many of the people that are in present here and challenging commissioners were against every single one of those steps. So I look forward to seeing them actually come to fruition and getting some affordable housing. 700 units are coming, which is better than nothing.
Thank you, Eric. And do you have a notice? We're back on the 2 minute. Kathy, your
Thank
thoughts
you.
on the question?
Yep. So I'm a big neighborhood person, a big neighborhood advocate. Since I've been on the campaign trail, I've been talking to a wider pool of people, including small business owners. I totally agree with you that they're very, very concerned about affordable housing. For people who work for them can't afford to live here. And kudos to the city for increasing the number of affordable housing units. But there are other things we can do too. Increasing or expanding the missing middle housing program that is currently only for the Park East neighborhood. When we tweak the corridor zoning text amendment, perhaps include inclusionary zoning. And so working with our partners as well, others who are supposed to be working on affordable housing. We're all in this together for the good of our city. And whatever we can do, we need to do together.
Thank you, Kathy. Liz?
Yeah, the Affordable Housing Initiative is working, and yes, my opponent was against that as well, along with many other initiatives in the city that we have done. But we had 606 units in the pipeline. Some have already opened. We still have 478. 56 are as a result of the Affordable Housing Initiative, and the others are a result of allowing for the residential uses. They're totally going to be affordable. They're not a percentage of the increased density. There are total affordable housing projects. We also approved having a realtor look for property in the city where we could put more affordable housing. And they came up with property right across from City Hall, and we're looking at how we can fund 192 affordable units there. So we have had a full court press on getting affordable housing in our community. As I said, the incentives are working, and we are going to make this a city where people can live, work, and play. And I agree with Ms. Kasten that, as I said before, business owners are residents too. A lot of our residents own businesses and have interest in front of the commission, as everybody in this room does. Everybody has an interest in a better Sarasota for one reason or another. And so I think to denigrate businesses just because they have a profit motive, you don't stay in business if you don't have a profit.
Thank you. Ron?
Thank you. And thank you for the chamber for having that question. Because one of the things that I did as part of my canvassing is I went down and spoke with the downtown merchants. I also spoke with the St. Armand's Merchants Association. And I spoke with the Palm Avenue merchants, because I agreed the business community is a key part of our city. Of course it is. Now, what's interesting about that is every organization that I just mentioned had a problem with the current commission. They did not feel like they had an effective voice. Point in hand, while the commissioner just mentioned about businesses and that every business she listens to, the Palm merchants just recently, back in May, 20 of them, and you know how difficult it is to get 20 businesses to agree upon anything. 20 of them got together, had a petition to ask, can we change the parking? And Liz commented, well, it's working fine so far. But to answer your question regarding attainable housing, and getting back to Liz's numbers of 51 attainable housing related to the zoning, that 51, we had to give up 216 bonus units. So that's 216 more families with 216 more cars for that 51. So out of the 700, we're getting 51 and getting that much more burden on our infrastructure.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, but we have run out of time. It is 1:15, 1:16. And so we're not going to get to all the questions, but I do want to thank everyone for attending today's Tiger Bay. And clearly there was a couple moments of sausage making, but that's the way democracy works. I want to thank these bold candidates for facing their constituents and giving us the opportunity to make informed decisions on November. Thank you all, and be safe.
Thank you all.
You know, it's so much easier when you have the timer in front of you.
Hold it together. Great job.
Thank you, John.
Great job. You guys are wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it. I had some too.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. I just want to give you an
Money these guys, they can really